Welcome to this presentation on how Eric Berne visualized the organization of ego states as personality structures. This video is for advanced learners of transactional analysis. Please do the exercises for best learning experience. At the end of this session, you will be able to uh, identify the steps by which Berne conceptualized ego states as psychic phenomenon. You will be able to differentiate between psychic organs, determinants, and phenomenon. You will be able to identify the structural and functional outcomes of interaction of psychic organizer with determinants, and you will be able to describe the difference between psychoanalytic constructs and transactional analysis constructs. Evolution of structural analysis. The psychic organizers are conceptualized from understanding of brain. The psychic determinants have been conceptualized from Freudian concepts of id, ego, and superego. Psychological phenomena have been conceptualized in structural analysis of the transactional analysis theory. Ego psychology existed before Berne. Paul Federn was the pioneer in the promoting ego psychology. See, Berne was his student, and he has taken the concept of ego state from Federn's teachings. Paul Federn was his teacher. The functions of the psychic organs include organizing the phenomena or the ego states and organizing into determinants that influence each other, and the most actively cathected organizer will take over as the executive when the ego state manifests, and the less actively cathected ego state will manifest as the uh, influences. And executive and influence can be from the same organizer or ego state in many situations. This is about psychic organizers or brain regions related to psychic organizers. The picture you see on the left side is a diagrammatic picture of the brain regions. As you can see, the outer layer is the neopsych or the neocortex, the most developed part of the brain. The middle layer is called the mesocortex or the limbic association cortex, which apparently represents the exteriopsych. And the innermost layer is called the archicortex, and this is the earliest developed part of the brain. And this is probably where the child ego state or the archipsych manifests from. And the three circles on the right side are diagrammatic manifestations of the psychic phenomenon called archeopsych, exteriopsych, and neopsych. Psychic determinants is about the Bernian construct. What Freud calls as psychic agencies, Berne calls as psychic determinants. He postulates that this is a function of the same organizers. Whether the organizers function as organizer or determinant depends on the cathexis and expression of energy in each of the organizers at a given time. The biological programming is made by the archeopsych or the earliest part of the psychic organizer. It is comparable to the concept of id in psychoanalysis. The external programming or exteriopsych is also called the social canon, is comparable to the superego of the psychoanalytic theory. And ego or probability programming is comparable to each other. It is the function of the neopsych or the most developed part of the brain. This animated slide is illustrating how the organizers manifest as ego states as well as influence each other as determinants. The PSC model shown is the ideal one. It's ideally aligned. And the second PSC model is the model with ideal energy distribution. A well-balanced person has an actively cathected child ego state which is regulated by the adult and the parent as and when required depending on the situational needs. Now stop the video and do this exercise. Identify the psychic organizers, list the functions of the psychic organizers, and draw a picture of the psychic organizers and determinants interacting with each other. Now coming to the practical manifestations. In a healthy state, the ideal ego states manifest and it's very effective functionally. But the practical situation is that everyone is not always healthy, and so it could be an unhealthy or ineffective stage. In those stages, structurally there may be contamination or exclusion of ego states, or there may be fluctuation of energy. Tier theory says that there is a gradient in mental health for everyone, at least in one or other aspects. And so there is a range of human personalities that we see, and each person varies from the ideal to the highly effective person. And there may be very less effective people to very ineffective or unhealthy persons. So that's the way TA theory understands mental pathology. These are some personality models which are not ideal. The contaminated adult, the parent and child excluded adult, the adult and child excluded parent, the parent and adult excluded child, and second order ego states which are active. They are all structural ego state manifestations that happen. Now let's look at some examples of impact of the determinants on organizers and how the functional ego states manifest. When the social canons impact the actively cathected neopsych or adult ego state, an example of the rational authority manifests. That manifestation is called rational authority manifestation of the adult ego state. As you can see here in this animated picture, the neopsych is the organizer and the exteriopsych is the determinant, and the manifestation is the adult in action, which is called the rational authority. Now, another example, like if the probability programming or the neopsych impacts the exteriopsych, what happens is a parent ego state will be executing and the neopsych will be impacting. Then the kind of person that manifests is called an authoritarian authority. Then, as you can see here, the adult programmed parent is called the authoritarian authority. Here the organizer is the exteriopsych and the determinant or the influencer is the neopsych or probability programming. So the person in action is a parent ego state, but the adult capabilities are being used. So that kind of a person is called the authoritarian authority. Now these are generally the effect of psychic organizing and programming. Structurally, there may be contaminations, exclusions, or higher order ego states. Functionally, there may be all these different kinds of manifestations. When the child is programmed by biological probability and social canons, respectively, you get natural child, precocious child, or adapted child. When the parent is programmed by biological probability and social canons, we get the nurturing parent, authoritarian authority, and the controlling parent. When the adult is programmed by the biological probability and social canons, we get the feeling adult, the neutral data processor, or the ethical adult. So it varies according to different situations. Now, a comparison between psychoanalysis and transactional analysis. Psychoanalysis says of psychic agencies. Id and superego are influences of the past, and ego is individual's own experience. Psychoanalysis does not mention any systematic phenomenology of the psyche, whereas transactional analysis says psychic phenomenon is present, and ego states are the psychic phenomenon. The structural analysis and ego states fill a gap in the phenomenology of the psychological theory according to Byrne. Now let's hear more on psychoanalysis and transactional analysis. What is known as primary process in psychoanalysis is a characteristic of archeopsych. What is known as secondary process in psychoanalysis is the characteristic of neopsych according to TA. And what is known as identification in psychoanalysis is the characteristic of exteriopsych according to TA theory. In psychoanalysis, there is a gap in the social theory. Archeopsych is an organizer and manifests as child ego state. It can also influence psychic phenomena of other organizers. Similarly, neopsych is an organizer which organizes the phenomena called adult ego state. It can also influence other phenomena. Exteriopsych is the organizer of the psychic phenomena called parent ego state. It can also influence other phenomena. Thus, transactional analysis fills the gap in social theory by setting up basic units and larger units called games and scripts for social action. Now stop the video and recapitulate how different ego states in the same person varies due to impact of the determinant. List at least 3 differences between TA theory and psychoanalysis. Once you have done the exercise, you can see the video again. Thank you for doing the exercise and listening to all the videos. I hope this has given you some clarity on how the ego state gets organized and how Byrne has conceptualized the formation and manifestation of ego states. Thank you.